Hi guys, welcome back to your twin flame video. It's been a while. I am getting a little bit better. I still have a bit of a croaky voice, but here's hoping I won't have a coughing fit. Shouldn't be an issue though. Okay, I've meditated on the changes that are happening between the twin flame union. Now there's been a lot of interesting energies coming through, and I have got new cards to kind of add to the element of the reading, but it's quite strange. Many moons ago, had two decks, didn't really use the cards, but for added variety I have purchased additional cards. Now, for the feminine, you guys have some interesting energy in a sense that both of you, both the masculine and the feminine, are going through similar energies. The energies the feminine are going through, it's almost trying to find the balance between finances and work and what's fair, but then the masculine's doing the same thing but from a different avenue. So a lot of the times the energy and the way you're going to be feeling between the connection of the two of you is you feel you're in a separate world, yet you're both in exactly the same world in a sense of the way you're viewing things. The language as such is going to be very different for the both of you. But it does feel as though you are dealing with the same things, but you're looking at it from a different perspective. So that's going to be the key to actually work with the energies for those of you close to union, working through that stage. I will do a separate spread for the ones nearing it that have not reached that point yet, because there are still obviously stages depending on where you're at. Otherwise, you'd need a personal reading to actually tune into that direct energy. Now, finances have come up for both masculine and feminine, and this is anything connected to balancing, a sense of worth directly connected to it, connected to your ego and your values of what defines you. These can be trigger points as well, and I am going to do some videos connected to manifestation, because a lot of the times we don't realise that we actually do co-create scenarios in our life. And these scenarios can actually, with the start and stop scenarios, are to a degree co-created, because aspects of it are personal blocks. Then a signal is directly sent out, which is then saying, not quite there yet, still have an issue connected to this, therefore it feels unsafe to actually move forward. So it temporarily puts a block on it till you can do that work on it. So energetically speaking, you actually do have a lot of power within connections, be it with your bosses or people around you, the way your life is flowing. So you need to try and keep your energy very positive, or be very self-aware of the way you are thinking and perceiving certain situations, so that you can get rest, ground yourself, when you're in that mindset, so you can bring your energy to that correct level that isn't going to directly impact your entire environment, because it's not just the twin flame connection, it's your growth and learning where you're going, which is going to be directly impacted. So for the feminine, I feel you're moving forward and moving backwards, and the forward and backwards isn't connected to punishment or a way you're doing something to manipulate a scenario. It feels you are sensing a vibration between you and your twin, and the way you're dealing with that energy is you feel safe to move forward, you move forward, and then you retreat a little bit back, because you're going back over old ground, which is trigger points, which is coming up quite a lot at the moment for a lot of the twins, where there are trigger points. And definitely the feminine is sort of becoming like a runner, but not in a sense of abandonment, in a sense of really processing quite deeply to understand why the vibration is that it's not safe. Now, when I shuffled the chakra cards, which I had actually put away, I don't know how well you can see them, crown chakra came out. So the way you are looking at things, and this is for both masculine and feminine, you're both very tuned into your intuition at the moment. When you tune into that, be careful what you tune into. You might be sensing vibrations connected to past tense blocks that your twin went through. And this can be connected to them venturing elsewhere, which is a trigger point. You're dealing with it differently than you did before. Before, you would run, grovel, whatever it is that energetically that may have actually been your trigger point, how you directly deal with it. You may have got in your head and thought that it was directly connected to you. Energetically speaking, you can actually tune out of that. So what you're going to need to do is, when you're sensing those vibrations, it's a direct fare connected to you that you are co-creating and manifesting. So you need to somehow occupy yourself, bring yourself back down to the 3D, where you're working on something of a physical nature, so that you're not focused on the energy that is a trigger in you, because the trigger then turns into a manifestation, which then turns into an education for you. So connected to that, you're going to need to cut that umbilical cord to a point where, yes, you acknowledge and yes, you release. And it's the only way you can actually directly handle it, because in a way, both the masculine and the feminine are going to have a test. Now, that test is whether they are vibrationally ready for the connection, whether they have reached that point of complete circle and learning to a point, throwing caution to the wind, jump in, and will completely not feel safe, because it's a process. It's not a connection in a sense that it's I've forgotten the word now. Reconciliation. It is not a reconciliation. It's a new way of directly dealing with a person that you do know very well, but you actually don't know, because this person now has changed and so have you. Now, finances are coming up, as I said before, and this is how you energetically use your finances for yourself, how you manifest and co-create things for yourself. On top of that, it is very much connected to how you share your finances. This may be, for some of you, a trigger point. So you bringing the balance back, like the Libran energy, where you are owning your voice of what you give at a financial level, at a physical asset level, whatever it is and however it directly relates to you, finances are being called upon to actually be looked at to keep that balance. And that's for your safety, your well-being. Again, it's from a manifestation point of view. And if this has cropped up for you, it's a trigger point. So you need to ask why and where it's come from. Now, with this trigger point, it can be directly connected to old paradigms of how relationships are in the 3D and what society believes is correct. Who is the provider? Is the feminine providing for herself? Is she adequately providing for herself? Is the finance directly necessary for the security and well-being? Or are humble more beginnings, in a sense, more peaceful? So that I feel a lot of push and pull connected to the feminine, directly connected to finances, and how she directly is looking at it, how it directly defines her, yet it doesn't. So you're very much processing aspects of finance and how you directly fit in with it, and the control that you have connected to that, the co-creation of that as well. So very much balance is needed. Energetically, you will be drawn to do certain things connected to finance, and you need to follow your intuition, because you do have crown chakra. This is for feminine and masculine. And also connected to family members. This is also coming up on a financial level. It can be that you are sharing finance. That's odd, I'm coughing. Okay, so finance is directly connected to family members, sharing of things, purchasing of gifts and birthday presents, keeping the balance directly connected, and knowing when enough is enough. So it sort of feels like you're having a trigger evolve, and it can be trying to keep the balance of what's real, what's necessary, and how to keep the cash flow moving. Try not to tune into it too hard, because it can actually manifest a point where it becomes a problem and a trigger yet again. Now, connected to work, you're finding it very hard at the moment to actually focus on work. You're actually having a lot of energy pulling you in different directions that's summoning your energy. And you're trying to find the balance directly connected to that. Now, I will explain how this directly relates. When I do the masculine, I'll sum it up. And it's because both of your energies are doing the same. Also connected to past tense scenarios, in the last few weeks I've felt it very heavy where people are having trigger points connected to, is it your twin? Are you safe? Is this going to be okay? Is the past going to repeat itself? September has been very heavy for that. Not only in a twin flame connection, but most definitely in an energy, in a sense of a heavy energy. This is helping you purge aspects of that. It's helping you actually take the rose-coloured glasses off to view the situation. But definitely the crown coming up is very much saying you're really having to fall back on your intuition, directly connected to how you're dealing with the person and how you're dealing with what is happening in the current situation with you. What else am I picking for the feminine? I see a lot of paperwork. There's definitely a lot of paperwork being done. It's almost that for those of you who are working through the connection within your twin flame, you will find your energy is being pulled quite heavily in many directions. For those of you who are nearing and the twin is made contact and conversations have evolved, I'll do a secondary reading for that to elaborate on this, but this will also be relevant for you. You will find that your energy is being pulled. So although you're trying to concentrate on certain aspects of the connection and the confusion connected to communication, it's making it quite difficult to actually focus on tasks at hand. It's becoming quite bothersome in a sense of sleep. For many of you, you will be having sleep-related issues where you're either considering aspects from past tense. I do feel a very heavy energy within the feminine that is almost moderately weepy energy, purging as such. It might be that you feel emotionally drained and spent. And cleansing, in a sense, and grounding is incredibly necessary. So it might be that you really do have to step into your power and physically say, enough is enough. You actually need that downtime where you disappear, so to speak, from energies and people directly connected to your twin or connected to people around you who place expectations on you, energetically speaking, removing yourself to a point that you can actually ground yourself. I'll start on the masculine and I'll come back to the feminine. The masculine's finding issues connected to their forward motion. Now, they're also dealing with aspects of finance, connected to work, be it you're working or not working on aspects of life, but also the communication between the both of you. Now, the masculine feels very much that they have changed. And for some of you, you will visually be seeing these things, although verbally not hearing these things. Now, for some of you that are going through this and wondering why the verbalization is not there, they actually don't know why they haven't verbalized it. From their point of view, they're unsure why they're doing that, although it might be old habits and aspects connected to their safety that is a trigger point for them. But on a whole, they visually feel they're showing you in some shape or form an aspect of change, an aspect of care. It could be something as trivial as a standard text message or a phone call or an acknowledgement as per se. But in some shape or form, the masculine, even directly connected to them physically changing and internally owning aspects that they are required to change through personal choice, but also an acknowledgement that things that were pointed out to them are relevant where they are right now. They also are having great blocks connected to other areas of their life where health related, they're physically knowing that aspects have to change, but have not as yet stepped into the power of that situation. They visually are seeing trigger points and are aware that the trigger points are enhancing aspects of ill health. And this could be anything to do with alcohol, to do with, it could be drugs or excessive smoking, incorrect eating, or things that are to the detriment of their health. A way of viewing the world, negative friendships. These are mainly examples. They're not a statement that every masculine's going through this energy. From this point of view, owning their power and directly knowing that there are trigger points, they're actually fine-tuning it to the point where to a degree, they acknowledge it, they haven't accepted it. Once the acceptance factor falls in, they will then know that the trigger points for them need to be directly addressed. But moreover, the aspect of the punishment directly connected to self is totally separate. So as yet, they're visually seeing that there is an issue and they have trigger points connected to this, but they also have not yet separated those two sections to get to a point where they realise the trigger point was not the core of the issue. The core of the issue lies deeper. And that will be a secondary aspect of healing where they actually do get to the root of that and realise that the power as such has been given away. So it hasn't necessarily been an issue as per se. It can be that they directly have a control related aspect where they've physically given their power away, feeling they have no power. So that is then causing other ways that are coming up in their life where they're trying to gain their power, or physically feeling that power is directly taken from them by other individuals. I'll get to that part. Okay, now as for friendships are also for them quite important at the moment, but not for the reasons you think. They are aware on a 3D and a 5D that, and when I say that, for some of you who aren't all this gizmo jazz, whatever you want to call it, here on Earth, the way we visually see things, 3D, what we physically see, what we physically feel, that they are aware that certain friendships are changing. They're also aware that the way they're living is going to change, but it's also a choice. And energetically speaking, there is fear directly connected to their forward motion. So they as yet have not found that balanced ground where they completely physically feel safe to move forward into that energy. But they are aware it's necessary, and they are aware they actually do want to do it. How, they haven't directly worked out yet. In some shape or form, they're also testing the feminine, and it's not directly connected to the feminine, although in a way they're using the feminine as a test to acknowledge the fact that perhaps it's not safe. So they are feeling directly threatened by the feminine, that the feminine will return only to leave, yet in previous times, for many, it would have been masculine that left. But as I said, the energy has shifted where a lot of the energy that the feminine actually felt, the masculine is now feeling. And it's not to say that these two energies aren't coinciding at the same time, where you both are physically feeling this way and trigger points are coming up directly connected to it. I do feel an aspect of the masculine being secretive. And for what reason, I'm not sure. I think it's an aspect of them as a whole, them not wanting you to see another side of them that they're not content with. But also wanting that old to a degree for themselves. where they do want to move forward, but it's almost like a buck's night. That's the only way I can explain it. So it feels as though they want that little, it's like a man's shed. It's such an ironic way of explaining it. They don't want to give an aspect of that away, but it's actually causing triggers within the feminine. I do feel like the communication, if you guys are in communication and dealing with aspects of triggers as such, the way you guys are going to have to communicate is going to have to be very unique. Each of you will know your own personal way in which to communicate with your twin. But I do find that the feminine is actually going to own her voice connected to her emotions of the past. Past is definitely coming up as a hot topic this month. And I do feel the way you actually communicate your truth is essential. It does need to be communicated. At times you will be triggered to a point where you won't want to say anything, and you need to follow that intuition because perhaps it is not the direct time. Okay, for some of you, energetically speaking, there may be a move on the cards. Now, for those of you who are both in contact but living separately, a dynamic connected to movement is going to happen on the home front. This may come into conversation. Sorry for my nails, I did gardening today and got to get the twin flame video out. Okay, anything connected to your safety, feminine, is directly coming up. And this is on the home front. This is your safety, your finances, what way to go. Because in the past, I do very much feel you would align yourself directly to be in the correct place at the correct time, giving the correct offer to your twin in a perfect sense. I do feel by Christmas, okay, let me count. By the end of the year, I do feel energetically movement will happen within the twin flame connection. So it will feel that there is clarity around Christmas connected to how you guys are moving, where you're going to be, how things will look, and a celebration as such. You may want to Google 4 as an added bonus. If I do have time, I will put information in the bottom box because this has come up several times in the cards. Okay. You're going to have some direct communication. Again, the crown chakra having come up. I'm trying to angle it so that you can see it. The lady's third eye is on her head. Now, I feel intuitively speaking, you guys are going to be quite in tune to each other. Also, in a sense of changes, heavy energies, happy energies. It's going to feel like you're a yo-yo, and it does feel that you're bouncing through. Last month, the energy felt quite heavy. This month, again, I do feel it is quite heavy, but more in a depressed sense, but not from a, oh my gosh, everything's terrible. Not to say it couldn't be, but it feels more in a sense of mourning an aspect of a previous past tense scenario, like it's physically died. So a sense of yourself has physically changed, and also your twin to a degree, an aspect of them has physically died. But the realization that both of you can have anew and have dreams together is at times going to be causing yo-yos with you, where you're feeling high and low and worried and then ready to move forward. It is because you are awakening and you're changing, because the old you physically has gone, and it's sad to say goodbye to an aspect of that, because you have thrown caution to the wind like the Fool, and you are moving forward, and you're very concerned as to what people's opinions are, how they feel about it. Did you make the right decision? And this is for the feminine. Now the masculine, I do feel they are very concerned about family. Now, this could be connected to their family members, biological children, exes as such, and it feels that they're really working on the balance directly connected to these individuals. I do feel their energy to be very separate, but I also feel it to be almost like they're being watched. So it may be their paranoia directly connected to it through past tense memories of how trigger points were with separate individuals outside of the relationship. They are trying to find the inner peace as well. Do be cautious around this time if you are in direct contact with your twin. For many of you, you may find that you're pregnant. It can be any aspect connected to fertility, pregnancy, creativity, where you're having a burst of ideas directly connected to each other, where your communication is working a lot better, and you have this plan and you will be ready to move forward with. And this will definitely be communicated, I feel. So it feels like a communication directly connected to an idea both of you are going to directly have. So if you have not directly connected on an intimate level, I do feel that that is on the cards at the moment, because that's your joint card. What else have we got? I energetically feel that you guys are going to have time to have a playful kind of energy between you. And it is going to flow. It will feel very natural. It feels like the masculine has a plan. And it might just be a comical conversation. And even if it's small talk, you need to go along with it and actually just go with the flow. Okay, connected to home and location. The advice is that you will need to ask for what you want directly connected to this and be brave. And this feels for the feminine. And it may be for the masculine because directly the energy is coming through for both. But you need to speak less and listen more. So it can be that the way you're hearing things, you're missing because you're expressing your feelings directly connected to it, or you're vibrationally feeling something. You need to listen because it may be word through the grapevine directly connected to your twin. It's making me tired. Okay. I feel you will have a direct awareness connected to how your twin feels. I do feel this is going to be communication. And I do feel you may actually see totems connected to bees, which is symbolism of love. I feel something as such is going to give you a vibration directly connected to this. It could be an email, it could be a physical phone call, it could be direct contact. Follow your instincts directly connected to this. What happens in the conversation? Because your intuition is serving you correct. Connected to your heart chakra and your twin connection, I do feel that there will be, again, I'm feeling an intimate connection. Now, this can be on the 5D. It doesn't have to be at the physical level. Connected to your insight, you're going to be posed with a choice. Now, both of you energetically have a choice to move forward or to move away from each other. And there is the left-right scenario coming up. But you're going to have courage. Okay, you're going to have signs to lead you in the correct direction. Now, I'm feeling as though, and what I'm hearing is, a lot of the feminine is actually feeling very frustrated. So just give me a sign. Please open your eyes and see. There are certain things that are coming fast. It can be a perfume, a cologne. It could be number plates, numbers, repetitious items being in your midst. Something directly connected to your twin of what reminds you of them. They may have been collecting things, and suddenly all over the place you're seeing this item that they directly collected. It will become heavier the closer the connection comes. So for those of you who aren't in union or nearing, and again I won't say reconciliation, I'd say more the mending of the bridges and the foundations. So the rebuild of the foundations. Okay, interesting. Connected to fertility or anything of creativity or ideas that both you and your twin may have, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to be very truthful to yourself. And you need to be open for the growth. Now, the growth can be directly connected to birth, or it can be a rebirth of self. And you need to follow your vibe and your vibrations directly connected to this. Try and have the grounding time to meditate on what it is you're pondering this month. And this, I feel, will lead until the end of the month. Okay, now I'm going to pull 3 cards for the ones that are nearing. I do feel like miscommunication. Just really work on the way you perceive things. And remember, this person's changed, so try not to look at it from a past tense situation. Energetically speaking, if there is a karmic directly connected, remember the karmic is not, look at it like a manifestation. Try not to tune into it because you energetically give it energy and it can prolong it. Okay. Crown chakra, your first card. Intimacy. And the clarity connected to seeing. So I do feel there will be communication, contact directly connected to the ones nearing. Now again, this can be for both of you in a sense of the ones that are already dealing with direct building of bridges and foundations, and the ones that are nearing the direct contact. For some of you, it might have been a long time, maybe no phone calls, no text messages. Don't take it personally. This is actually for your benefit that the contact is not there, because energetically speaking, if they were not ready, you would just be repeating exactly what you had past tensely done. However, that energy would have been a lot heavier. So you need to trust in the process and know that it is there for your safety and your higher good, energetically speaking. Okay, advice for all. Ground yourself. Be directly honest connected to this connection. You know what it is. Even though you get up in your head and you're very, very tired, ground yourself. and be honest with yourself about what you're wanting. Okay. There is light at the end of it, and it will be positive and it will be full of abundance and love and joy. Try and keep grounded to the point you can see this through. There is going to be harmony and things will be restored to the point where it will feel different to what it did before. It will not be the same. It will be different, but you just need to take it from that perspective. If you are wanting a booking, please go to the link directly below. When it's automatically put up, it may not have the link in there, but the other videos will. I will be starting to record, so hopefully I get these ones out and they're all done.